देवी पूजी पद कमल तुम्हारे, सुर नर मुनि सब हो ही सुखारे। माता पूजी पद कमल तुम्हारे, सुर नर मुनि सब हो ही सुखारे। देवी पूजी पद कमल तुम्हारे, सुर नर मुनि सब हो ही सुखारे।
Jai Ma, Jai Babaji. We are listening to the wonderful stories of my Gurudev Baba Bhoothnath Ji, my father's Gurudev Baba Bhoothnath Ji. And as you have heard, you must have heard in all the previous videos, how miraculous his life was, and how he left his home at such an early age in search of Ma Kamakhya. Like yogis are born. They have done something in their past that at such an early age they are inspired to go and see Ma. And at the age of 11 he left his home in search of Ma. He met so many gurus on the way. He did so many sadhanas, and in the end how he met his Guru Harnanath and how the Guru behaved with him, stole his money. And but still Babaji kept on going with his good nature, like how a disciple has to be, how a practitioner, a sadhak has to be, how a good natured person has to be. Babaji displayed that at every step, in every of his dealing, walking on the path of truth, being truthful, being honest, being sincere. And with that sincerity, with that loyalty, with that honesty, he took the mantra of Ma Kamakhya. In fact, he gave his money also, everything. And then he took the mantra of Ma Kamakhya, and how sincerely he used to go in the temple, inside the temple, and sit and meditate the whole night. And for 3 days, he actually saw Ma Kamakhya coming as a 9-year, 10-year-old girl, and she gave him darshan. And the proof was all those gold ornaments that she left. And she also told him to distribute those gold ornaments. And then she gave him the ring. And before leaving, she also told him that his sadhana was complete and he should now dedicate his life for social welfare and uplift mankind and teach them the path of sadhana, connect them with Ma Kamakhya. So with all these instructions given by Ma, Babaji was very happy. He left Kamakhya. And he continued, he came out, and now he was fully ready to serve everybody who came to him. His first stop, he left from there and then he went on Brahmaputra river, near the banks of Brahmaputra. There is a place called Balal Khandar. And in Balal Khandar, there is an ashram called Bisariya Ashram. There is a story about that ashram, but the main part is, it is said that if somebody takes bath in Brahmaputra river in the month of Chaitra, which is around March, April, then they get lot of merits. They accumulate a lot of merits. So around the same time, Babaji went in that place. He was staying in Balal Khandar ashram, Balal Khandar Bisariya ashram. And right near the Balal Khandar ashram, he stayed there for some time and then he started moving ahead. He started moving from there, from Balal Khandar to Gwalpada, and he went there. While he was going near the Brahmaputra and he stopped at Gwalpada, he wanted to cross the river. And there he saw that there were a lot of boats, beautiful boats in Brahmaputra, all colorful boats, and a lot of fishermen are there. And then he kept walking, thinking which boat should I take, and he kept walking. And then when he walked a little bit ahead, he saw that there is a group of fishermen, and he heard some crying and wailing sound. He went nearby. It was night 10 p.m. And there was this family who was crying, and they were crying because there was a small little girl lying down dead. Babaji looked at her, Babaji looked at the family, and then Babaji asked, what happened? The fishermen, they had their boats. The boatmen, they said, his daughter, his name is Sukadev, his daughter has died. That's why they're crying. Babaji just stayed there. He was sitting there, and the whole night passed away like that. And the family, see, remember one thing, the stories which I'm saying, these were like kind of ancient for us now, because it is in the 1900s, and those areas, Assam and all, were not developed so much. They were still hilly, tribal areas. And all those people who lived near the Brahmaputra, they are all boatmen, fishermen. There are good people in there, but generally their profession was that. And it is a hilly area and cut off from the main country, kind of. So it is very difficult to get all the facilities, or like a hospital or doctors or all these things. So when this girl has died, when I was reading the story, I understood what the situation could be. Because in our times, we don't realize what. We just have to call the ambulance, and the ambulance will be there, and the body is taken, and everything is done. But in that time, it was not the same. So the girl died, and these people had to wait the whole night for some help to arrive the next day. And they have to take the body. They can't burn the body here. They have to go to another place, which is basically a cemetery, where there is a graveyard, where they will set up the funeral pyre, and then on the pyre the girl's body will be put, and then they'll be burned. So the whole night, since 10 p.m., everybody is crying, and they are just resting there. The ladies are in their houses, the men are outside, the dead bodies outside. Then when it became early morning, some boatmen came. They got some whatever stuff was needed for the final rites. They got everything, and then they sat on the boat, and then they were about to cross the river. They looked at Babaji and they said, you wanted to cross the river, we will take you there. You can take one of the boats. Babaji sat down. And throughout, Babaji is seeing everybody so sad, and Babaji was like, how do I help them? The only way I can help them is if they get their girl back. She's dead. Is there a way that the dead can be brought to life? Babaji is thinking all this in his head. And the family is very sad and depressed, and they are going. And when they reached to the place, to the other side, there was the cemetery nearby. Babaji stood there at the cemetery, because in his mind he is like, these people are so nice and they got me here. How should I repay them back? And he saw the father. The others, they just made the funeral pyre, and the father is taking the daughter. And when the daughter was kept on the funeral pyre, the father started crying and like broken down. The mother is crying, and they're beating at their hearts and wailing, and tears coming out. Babaji tried to console them. Babaji said, why are you crying? Don't cry. He's like, why should I not cry? My daughter is dead. Babaji said, no, nobody dies. He said, what are you talking? We are going to burn the body. She has died. Where is she alive? Can you bring her alive? Babaji said, wait, don't burn her body. Let me try. And Babaji sat down there to meditate. And while he was meditating, he went into Samadhi. And in Samadhi, he started praying so deeply, he started using all the mantras, whatever he had done in his lifetime. And he said one thing, that I am going to try all these mantras in this little girl. Whichever mantra brings the little girl alive, that mantra and that god or goddess will be my deity for lifetime. You remember, he had done Mahakal, Mahabhairav, every sadhana he has done. He has seen Hanumanji, he has seen Ramji. So he started practicing all those mantras at that time. But none of the mantras brought the girl alive. Then, with all his faith, he invoked Ma Kamakhya. And while he was in Samadhi and he invoked Ma Kamakhya, in some time, a small tube appeared in his hand. Babaji's samadhi broke, he saw the tube, and then he took the tube, and the dead girl is lying on the pyre. Babaji took the tube and inserted in her nostril. And after inserting in the nostril, Babaji started blowing air. And after a few blows, the dead girl opened her eyes and she sat down. When she sat down, everybody is like surprised, and instead of being happy, the people's reaction are ghost, ghost, ghost. Oh my God, she got up, she's a ghost. She cannot be that same girl. And Babaji is like, no, calm down, everybody. She is your daughter. I prayed to Ma Kamakhya to bring her alive. So she is alive and she is your daughter. She is blessed by the goddess. All the fishermen were so jubilant, so happy on seeing Babaji's miracle. They requested him to stay there, and Babaji stayed there for a while, and then Babaji said, I have to leave now. They said, please don't leave us. We don't want to leave you. Please stay with us forever. Babaji said, I'm sorry, I have to move further. And then Babaji left that place, but the fishermen had so much faith in Babaji that in his remembrance, they made a small temple in that place, which is, it seems, when I was reading the book, which was published somewhere after his passing away, it seems the temple is still there. Then the next story comes. After that, Balal Khandar incident, Balal Khandar, Gwalpada and Brahmaputra and this boatman incident, Babaji moved further. He said, let me go ahead now. And he went to a place which was very isolated. And as I told you, this place is all in forest, dense forest everywhere. So Babaji just took an isolated place covered by the dense forest and sat down meditating. For days he went without food, without water. And in that time, his hair had all grown up like a matted locks. So his body will be fully covered by his long matted locks, and they look very golden in color, covered by mud and everything. And Babaji used to sit and meditate, and slowly the creepers there, they started covering him up. The leaves of the trees would fall on him, and he was in samadhi for many days, and he would be covered by this leaves and creepers and everything. His body he would not feel. One day, since it was a hilly region and there were all tribal people all around, the tribals were going, and then they saw something they saw from the far in the dense forest, in the greenery. They are seeing some hair, golden hair. So they thought maybe it's a dead animal, or we don't know, probably it's some enemy from some bordering country. We don't know what it is. So they were a little scared. So tribal people, in order to protect themselves, what they did is they just lit fire there. And suddenly the whole forest, that area was burning. And the fire reached Babaji, and Babaji was in samadhi. He got up from there, came out. But by the time he could come out, he had suffered burns in his body. And the tribal people saw, and they were like, oh, we are sorry, we didn't know. Babaji said, it's okay, it must be a misunderstanding, don't worry. And then Babaji came out. He was all burnt at many places, but he called Mother and asked her to help him out. And then slowly he recovered from all the burns and became healthy again. After this incident, Babaji went further. So this incident that happened was in a place, Chura mountain, and from there he went to Gauri Junction, and then from Gauri Junction to another place called Fakragram. And all these places, wherever he went, people would gather around and they would want to listen to whatever the discourses he's giving. People would be very happy seeing him. So he went like this. In Gauri Junction there was a small temple where he stayed, one Devi temple where he stayed, and then there was a rich aristocrat family which invited Babaji there. His name was Maharaj Pratap Singh, and they invited and they said, Babaji, why don't you stay at our home? Maharaj, Babaji sat down there, but then he realized that his home was haunted. Babaji said, I'm sorry, I don't think so I can stay here. I will be doing my sadhana outside. And then Babaji left from there, and after that he went to he saw one tree, which was a Ashwatha tree or the people tree, and he sat down there doing his puja. After that, this sadhana happened, and then Babaji came to Fakragram, and then living in Fakragram for some time, he decided, let me go back to Jogabandi. Remember Jogabandi? In his earlier quest, when he was traveling from Jogabandi, he was planning to go to Nepal. But he didn't go to Nepal. He turned back and came to Tantric Dhara Baba's ashram. This has been covered in I think the second or the third video. Babaji decided to go to Jogabandi again. This place, what I call Jogabandi, in those time it was Jogabandi, now it is called Jogbani. So it has a different name now. This Jogbani is very near to Nepal. So people going to Nepal can actually go to Jogbani and take a small flight and then fly to Nepal. It's a border place, bordering India and Nepal. So anyway, so he went to Jogbani. And if you remember in Jogbani, when he was going from Jogbani to Nepal, at that time he had gone to one rich person's home, and he had knocked the door asking for water, and that family said, no, we can't give you, outright rejected him, and he was so thirsty, and mother took him to another spring nearby. Babaji, now he was not that small child of that time. Babaji now was miraculous. Babaji was famous. Babaji was a Siddha. Babaji was an adept. And Babaji, now when he went back, his glories had already spread in that area. And Babaji again went to that person's house. In fact, that person himself came. He didn't realize this is the same Baba whom I had said no for water. But the same Seth, they normally, in India we call them Seths. So the same Seth means a rich person. So the same Seth called him, said, Babaji, oh please come to our home, stay with us. And Babaji is nice natured. He will not be revengeful. Oh, you didn't give me water that time, so I won't stay at your home. No, that is not the quality of a saint. Babaji was a true saint. Babaji said, okay, I'll come and stay in your house. While he was staying in the house, Babaji kept doing all his satsanga. So many people used to come and listen to him. Then this Seth developed so much faith in Babaji that he decided to sell all his property and bring all his wealth and give it to Babaji. And he, without telling Babaji, he sold it. And whatever the wealth he had gathered by that, he just brought it to Babaji and said, Babaji, I have so much wealth, I want to give it to you. Babaji said, what am I going to do with this? Okay, since you already have the wealth now, let's do this. Let's do 2 yagyas. And at that time, Babaji did Mahachandi Yagya and Maharudra Yagya, Lakshchandi Yagya and Maharudra Yagya at that place. And everybody from the village came. So there was a school in that area. In that school, this yagya was done, a big homam was done, and everybody from the neighboring area had come. They had witnessed the greatest yagya of that time. Nobody can replicate that yagya again, that kind of yagya. Obviously, nobody can replicate, because somebody like a supreme master, an adept, a God incarnate, Shiva incarnate, Babaji is there and conducting the yagya. Can you imagine what kind of yagya that must have been? And Lakshchandi and Maharudra together. So the entire village, all the neighboring village, thousands of people came for the yagya, thousands of people. It was a very, very huge successful yagya. After all the yagya was done, all the donations were given to the pandits and the brahmanas. The Seth, the host, was left with only 300 rupees. He came with the 300 rupees and gave it to Babaji. Babaji said, only this much left? He said, yeah. Babaji said, you keep it with you. What will you use? How will you live now? You have sold everything. He said, Babaji, I am not worried. You are there. You will take care. And Ma, Jagadamba, Divine Mother, she is there with me. She will take care. Babaji said, I am very pleased with you. And you have done such a great work. Ma Jagadamba, Ma Bhavani, Ma Kamakhya is really pleased with you. So take this 300 rupees back and start your business and you'll become very successful. So the Seth and his family started a new business, and in the end they ended up becoming filthy rich. That Seth also passed away after some time. So this was the story of one of the Seth. After this, Babaji was staying there for some time, and then one day what happened? The Brahmaputra flooded. Babaji, people came to him and said, Babaji, can you do, if the water just goes on increasing like this, the whole villages will be gone and people will be in trouble, so many lives will be gone. Can you stop this flood? Can you intervene? Can you pray to Ma Kamakhya? Babaji said, okay. And Babaji sat down, Babaji and some of the disciples and some of the villagers, they sat down near the Brahmaputra and they started meditating. By the power of his meditation and by the power of his prayers, the Brahmaputra started going back and the flood stopped. After this, Babaji decided, I will go back to Kamakhya Mandir again. And so he was walking towards Kamakhya Mandir. All this thing, what I'm saying, this is only by walking, because in those days, vans and cars were not easy. The traveling thing was not easy. So the people used to walk. So Babaji walked. So from there, Babaji was walking towards Kamakhya. He said, okay. Then en route, he stopped at a place called Dibrugarh. That Dibrugarh, the modern name is Dibrugarh. So in Dibrugarh, there is a mountain, and in that mountain, on top of that mountain, there is a hill. The hill. On top of that hill, there is a Durga Devi temple, and that Durga Devi temple is called Guhai temple. So Babaji, nowadays probably that Guhai temple is a proper temple and people go, and it's close to 183-year-old temple, and people now go and have darshan. It has a proper structure. But in those days, there was no structure. The temple was there, small hilly tribal people, taking care of it, but it was on the top of a hill. So people also would not go there. So the temple was just like this. The idol was there, Durga Devi idol is there, and the temple is there in this forest area. So Babaji just climbed there. And Babaji sat down meditating there, and that night he sat down. Next day morning, early morning, he sees there is bunch of elephants coming. And those elephants are carrying in their trunk, they are carrying branches of trees. Some of them are carrying flowers. Some of them are carrying fruits, all in their trunk. And then they came and they saw the Devi Ma Murti is there, and they are offering all that thing. Babaji is seeing all this, that elephants are coming and offering all these things. And not only that, after the offering was done, the elephants are making a sound. They raised their trunk and then they are making their trumpet sound, sounding like conch shell. And after doing this puja, they left. So every day, Babaji is seeing that, oh my God, this temple, people are not coming here. This is so isolated. But the animals of that forest, they are coming and they are offering things, and they are offering this puja to Jagat Janni, to Ma Jagdamba. And Babaji was so happy seeing how disciplined these animals are, and he stayed there for some time. And in that place, he did an archana of 10 Mahavidya. After that, he left the place, and then he decided to go further. He wanted to go to Kailash Shikhar, and then there are many interesting stories that happened there too, and we will discuss about this in the future episodes. For now, we will just say Jai Babaji, Jai Ma. Stay tuned, because there are so many interesting things that are going to come up. One of the most interesting things which I like is his teleporting. He can just teleport himself. And this is something like, you have only seen it in movies, but Babaji used to do it. So stay tuned, and we'll meet again. Jai Ma, Jai Bhoothnath.